At some point, everything you think you know about fighting will betray you. Not in a dojo, not in a movie, but in a dark, chaotic moment where your hands shake, your mouth goes dry, and your brain screams. This wasn't supposed to happen, and the truth is brutal. Most people don't lose fights because they're weak. They lose because they aim at the wrong thing. Here's the reality nobody sells you. In a true SHTF survival scenario, there are no clean angles, no rules, no honorable exchanges. There is only time, and you have very little of it. This video is not about winning a fight, it's about ending one before your body pays the price. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, that discomfort might save your life. Picture this, it's late, power's out, cell service is dead. You didn't choose the confrontation, but it chose you. Your heart is slamming so hard it feels like it's trying to escape your chest. Your hands are cold, your legs feel disconnected. This is not adrenaline like the movies show. This is panic dressed as confidence. And here's where most people make their fatal mistake. They stare at the head. Because Hollywood trained you to believe that the head is the off switch. One punch, lights out, problem solved. That belief has put more people in hospitals than bad luck ever could. The human skull is not a target. It's armor, dense bone, reinforced structure. Built to survive impacts. Your hand, a delicate assembly of tiny bones that break far easier than your ego admits. In survival, physics doesn't care what you meant to do. When bone meets bone, the smaller structure loses. Every time, and once your hand is compromised, you're done. No grip, no leverage, no second chances, which brings us to the first truth of real violence. Ending a fight fast has nothing to do with strength. It has everything to do with systems. Take away a system, and the body collapses. That's what soft points really are, not magical kill switches. But biological vulnerabilities the body cannot ignore. And the first one is so obvious that people overlook it. Target number 1, the hardware reset. Vision. The eyes aren't just sensory organs. They're command inputs. They feed balance. They feed coordination. They feed threat assessment. Remove vision even for a second and the brain panics. This isn't toughness dependent. This isn't about pain tolerance. This is involuntary biology. The eyes are the only exposed part of the central nervous system. No armor, no padding, no redundancy. You don't need force, you need disruption. When vision goes, posture collapses. Breathing changes, hands come up instinctively. And here's the part most people miss. You don't need to win here. You only need an opening. Because survival isn't about domination, it's about escape. In SHTF conditions, every second spent fighting is a second closer to injury, infection, or worse. The goal is not damage, the goal is distance. And vision loss, even momentary, creates chaos. Chaos buys time, but there's a catch. Most people freeze because they're still thinking in terms of fairness, clean techniques, social rules that no longer apply. Survival doesn't reward politeness, it rewards effectiveness. And if vision is compromised, the body does exactly one thing next. It tries to breathe, which leads us to the second system. Target number 2, the breathing apparatus. Air. The body can tolerate pain. It can tolerate fear. It cannot tolerate the loss of oxygen. Breathing isn't optional, it's automatic. When airflow is threatened, the brain overrides everything else. Logic disappears, training evaporates. This is why fear spikes instantly when the throat is involved. It's not psychological, it's primal. The throat is a narrow corridor carrying air, blood, and nerve signals. There is no protection, no muscle shielding, just vulnerability. When that corridor is threatened, the body reacts violently but blindly. Hands rise, balance shifts, awareness narrows. And in that moment, the fight changes. But here's where people make another mistake. They linger, they hesitate, they stay too close, too long. In survival, proximity is danger. Every second you remain engaged increases the odds of variables you cannot control. Friends joining, weapons appearing, footing slipping. Soft points are not finish lines, they are exits. And exits only work if you take them, but vision and breathing aren't the only systems that can shut a fight down instantly. There are deeper failsafes built into the human body, ones most people never consider because they don't look dramatic. Until it's too late, now we're going lower. Into balance, structure, and neurological collapse. And one of these targets doesn't cause pain at all, it simply turns the body off. There's a moment in real danger where pain stops mattering, where anger, sighs, and adrenaline mean nothing, because the body doesn't run on courage, it runs on systems. And when those systems fail, the fight ends whether the person wants it to or not. In survival, this is the difference between chaos and control. Because once vision is disrupted and breathing becomes urgent, the body starts making mistakes. And mistakes expose deeper vulnerabilities, not flashy ones, not cinematic ones, but the kind that shut everything down without warning. Target number 3, the balance engine. Structure. Every human stands on a lie. That lie is that we're stable. We're not. We're constantly falling and catching ourselves thousands of times per day. Balance is an active process, not a state. And when that process breaks, strength becomes irrelevant. Your balance comes from 3 places working together: vision, inner ear, and structural alignment. We already talked about vision, now we're talking about structure. When alignment fails, hips, knees, ankles, the brain enters emergency mode. It dumps power into stabilizing instead of attacking. That's why someone off balance looks clumsy instead of dangerous. It's not weakness, it's neurological priority. In SHTF conditions, uneven ground, poor lighting, exhaustion, and stress amplify this vulnerability. People aren't standing on gym mats, they're standing on gravel, wet concrete, debris. When structure collapses, aggression collapses with it. And here's the key survival insight most people miss. You don't need to overpower someone, you need to interrupt their base. Once base is compromised, reaction slow, awareness narrows, options disappear. But balance isn't the only system that quietly decides outcomes. There's another one deeper and more unforgiving. Target number 4, the power transfer. Hips power doesn't come from arms. It never has. Every punch, shove, grab, or lunge originates in the hips. They're the transmission of the human body. Disrupt that transmission and force evaporates. In high-stress survival situations, people overcome it. They lean forward, they shift weight aggressively. That moment right there is where control is lost. Because when the hips are compromised, the body can't generate force or recover quickly, movements become heavy. Transitions become slow, and slow is lethal. This is why trained fighters focus on footwork and posture, not fists. They understand something Hollywood doesn't: power without balance is just falling with enthusiasm. In real-world survival, the environment does half the work: uneven ground, obstacles, limited visibility. You don't need complexity, you need timing. But there's one final soft point that ends fights faster than pain ever could. And it's the one nobody talks about, because it doesn't look like anything is happening at all. Target number 5, the shutdown switch. The nervous system. Pain is negotiable. Fear is negotiable. The nervous system is not. There are moments when the body doesn't fight. It simply stops responding. This isn't unconsciousness, it's overload. When the nervous system receives too many conflicting signals at once, balance loss, breathing threat, sensory disruption, it prioritizes survival protocols. That can mean freezing, that can mean dropping. That can mean complete disengagement, not because the person chose to stop, but because the system did. This is why real violence often looks messy and uncoordinated. The body is glitching under stress. In SHTF scenarios, exhaustion, dehydration, hunger, and sleep deprivation amplify this effect. The margin for overload shrinks, and here's the most important truth of all: you cannot outthink a failing nervous system. Once it starts cascading, the outcome is decided. That's why experienced survivors don't chase damage. They chase dysfunction, they don't escalate, they disengage. Because every second you're still there is another roll of the dice. The real lesson, these 5 soft points aren't about violence. They're about ending it. They're about recognizing that survival isn't a duel. It's a race against time, injury, and uncertainty. In a true SHTF environment, there are no winners, only people who walk away and people who don't. And walking away means understanding this. Strength fades. Techniques fail, but biology never negotiates. If you take nothing else from this, remember one thing: the goal is not to dominate the threat. The goal is to create a moment where escape becomes inevitable. That's how fights really end. Not with knockouts, not with heroics, but with systems failing faster than the mind can keep up. And the people who understand that, they're the ones who make it home. Because knowing these soft points is only half the equation. The other half is knowing when not to engage at all, and that decision saves more lives than any technique ever will.